Well, I think all we have to do is look at the world around us, look at the economy, look at the opportunities our students are going to face, the challenges they're going to face in the future, and our students are going to go out in a world that is, it's global, and the relationships they're going to have are spread around the world. If we, as an institution of higher education, do not expose our students to these varying aspects of culture and life, I think we're not doing our job, and you know that better than most.
Yeah, I think, it really is interesting looking at how we're approaching internationalization and how both at a geographic level, but also a key themes and global challenges that students are facing. You really have to integrate both of those pieces. So it isn't just about a particular country, but it's about how we can also understand different people and different cultures and how our curriculum can help shape that, and then the experiences that students can have adds to their depth of knowledge and understanding.
Think about it. 1 out of 10 students today are from out of the United States. Mm-hmm. That number was 1 or 2% when you started your job. So you've been very busy.
It's been busy but exciting. I feel fortunate every day to have the opportunity to see through the eyes of new students and scholars that come to UD, their experience here, what that's like for them, sending students overseas and hearing about those experiences and seeing how it's changed the way they view the world. We talk about, sometimes we name generations, and it's said that this is really the first global generation. This is the first generation that's grown up with access to one another through technology and whatnot. And part of what I feel our important role is to help them make meaning of that and to make those meaningful connections. And so I do feel that the growth of international students right here on campus is a key component of how all of our students really benefit from the global education that we can offer.
I also think it's very eye-opening for faculty when they go over and try to apply their skills in a foreign environment. Things don't always go the same as they do in the U.S. There's a different set of challenges for the person in the physical sciences, and the same for the people in the social sciences. And I think it gives you a balance, a different perspective as a faculty member. And
I think these cohorts of faculty going abroad are a big step forward, and we're already seeing modifications to curriculum, new curricular ideas as a result of that. And so I think if we look 10 years out with 10 cohorts, right, the multiplier effect of that is very powerful.
There's other important areas. We should be doing more in the Middle East. We have opportunities in Lebanon, in Kuwait. That's a very different culture. And I think our two big challenges really, what are we going to do in Africa and what are we going to do in Latin America? Because we have wonderful connections in both those continents. We could do more. And they're two continents where what we have, the assets we have as a university, could make a tremendous difference.
The wonderful thing that I see emerging increasingly every day is our ability to connect with the Marianist communities around the world, because they're doing such wonderful work there.
What we want to do is first look at what's happening to our U.S. students. And that starts with the idea that we should be introducing our students to other cultures, but I also think we have to continue the movement about other languages. That's very, very important. I think we need a greater percentage of our students going overseas. And again, wherever they feel comfortable, but that's something they really need to develop and be prepared for what they're going to face in the future. I think we can continue to work with our international students. Again, I'm very pleased that we have all these international students. We've done a wonderful job. How do we do a better job? And that requires the whole campus to do that. And then I really think we need to expand the opportunities for not only faculty but staff. Many of the key people who are dealing with our international students are staff people throughout the university. And it'd be nice to have some programs for staff too that give them that experience. We both talk to people from around the world because our university, the University of Dayton, is seen very positively. And we're also seen as a university that delivers. We don't come and sign a document and walk away.
But the other thing that I think sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for is just the amount of campus engagement that is I don't care which office we're talking about, people are interested in knowing what they can do, how they can be part of it, whether it's dining services or faculty in any one of the academic units or the bursar's office. There is just a lot of interest in how can we provide a kind of environment where students feel welcome, where we can also benefit from learning and knowing.
And again, that's one of the powerful elements of the UD experience. And I think the international students speak to that quite often. We are not aggressively recruiting in China, in the Middle East. We do it our own way, and a lot of it is because of the positive experience on campus. A couple years ago, there was a group from China on campus. These are business people, and I think you may have been there. We were walking through Marinist Hall, and there was a sign on the wall that had to do with our standards of behavior, community standards, and each hall does that on their own. And that group of Chinese men and women, they were not students, one up, and one person started reading it and then called another person over, and there were a couple photographs taken. And they said, "What is this?" And I said, that's community standards that were established by this floor of students. And they said, if these are the standards that students are holding themselves to, this is the type of university we want our students to come to. When you look at other universities, they tend to be focused on recruiting students, doing classes. Well, we're going to do some of that, as you know, but we're going to bring over researchers that will link to industry. And again, this is located in the Suzhou Industrial Park. We're also going to bring over an innovation center similar to what we are doing in our engineering school here in Dayton. And it's amazing the number of large companies that have approached us already to be involved in this. So we have GE Aviation, Emerson Climate Control, and just this month we had a discussion with Lilly Corporation. They think this is one of the most unique things that any university has attempted. But what's unique is we are doing exactly what we're doing in Dayton and in the US, in China. And that sets us apart from other institutions. There are some very daring students. I can remember coming in on a flight to the Dayton airport, and a young man walked up to me and said, "Dr. Curran, I'm going to study abroad." And I go, "Oh." He said, "I'm very nervous." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I'm going to study in Korea. I don't speak Korean. You know, I've never been on an airplane." And I said, what a bold young man.
I'll never forget the day a young woman bounded up to me after her summer break, and she said, "I cannot believe the experience I've had in overseas this summer." And I think she might have been in Germany. And she said, "Of course the site was terrific, but," she said, "I saw the faculty with light bulbs going off, and their excitement was so, it was so inspiring to me." She said, I look at things, I don't see things in the same way I did before, because the relationships between those disciplines never occurred to me. And the fact that I could see my faculty, you know, exploring that with each other was just such an inspiration."
I think my first real international experience was in Africa, in the Republic of Guinea. But I had been to Europe multiple times before that. But it was being there and living in a country for an extended period of time and going out into rural regions that were extremely poor. And I believe at that time Guinea may have been the poorest country in the world. But to go out into the country and visit people and realize that, yes, they were very poor, but they were very happy, and learning to appreciate other lifestyles. One of the interesting experiences I had was I went through an experience where, again, I was the minority, you know, for the first time. And the people were wonderful in Guinea, the people were wonderful in Senegal. But there was this one experience I had with a person. I remember we were in a fishing village where a person came up to me, and nose to nose, I was the United States. And he was a very radical young man, and it was a very heated conversation.
The notion of community for me was kind of expanded to really, it is really about all of us together. It is not just what at maybe one point I conceived of community as my little town where I grew up. And you know, you bust those notions open when
Wide open.
wide
I
open,
mean, it's
wide open. Yeah, you can. I always tell students who are exploring, particularly going to developing countries, the highs are really high and the lows can be really low. That there's not a kind of a humdrum everyday life. I think for me, going off to the Peace Corps was really my first international experience. So I was one of those that, you know, took the big leap.
Right. The risk
taker. Well, and you know, to be honest with you, I was not the risk taker at all. In fact, I found out later that my family thought I would certainly be back within 2 weeks. I mean, they didn't give me any more than a month because this was out of character for me. And I don't really remember what was driving it, to be honest with you. All I know is I was compelled to go out into the world, and it's, you know, it's really changed my path. But I remember those first few days feeling, you know, very scared and uncertain and not knowing what was going to happen. But you grow in this confidence, and
right.
Because people are so wonderful and warm, they really embraced me as, yes, I was an American, and they had some misconceptions about being American and what that meant and so on and so forth. But that didn't stop the relationship, and that's the part that I think is such a neat lesson for all of us.